You're watching the MQSoftware channel.
Hello everyone, my name is Tess Flynn, and I'm going to show you today, this is going to be a screencast that will show you how to distribute the QPasa agent and set up a very simple QPasa event. Now, I have the QPasa server right here on a Windows box, and I have a Unix system over here. I'm logged in over SSH and FTP, and we're going to set up monitoring on this system. First, we need to create a host node in the QPasa configuration manager. The host node acts as kind of a staging point for us to log in and access that remote system. We put in the host name or IP address of the host node, and then we can distribute the agent. Now, I like distributing the agent using FTP, mostly because I find it a far more precise method than others available. You'll notice that the files are actually pretty small. It's about 10 meg in this case. This is actually fairly typical of our agent size. Now, once we have the agent software on the system, since it's a Unix box, we need to set a few permissions, and then once those are in, we can actually start up the agent. There are three different kinds of executables that we're going to require. The first one is the QPasa extensible agent. It's the main one. The next one is going to be the QPasa monitoring agent. This one's going to give us that real-time eventing that we need. And the last one is going to be the configuration extension that's required by the management console. Now, once we have all three of those started up, we can actually go to the configuration manager. Here it is. And we can log into the system. See, it shows that we've been connected on the port. And then we can do a little housekeeping. We need to do something called a synchronize. A synchronize will query the system so that it grabs a list of all of the queue managers and queues that exist on that system and forwards it to the QPasa server. This is something that we have to do basically on the first setup. But you'll notice it doesn't take very long, and even on very busy and very complicated setups, this will take very little time. Once that's done, we can do monitoring. We have to type in the host name of the QPasa server, and then we can select the things that we need to monitor. Now, I have two queue managers on this box, and I have some queues and some channels. Not a very complicated setup here, but QPasa can handle many different queue managers across many different platforms through the same interface. So you can manage Unix servers, Windows servers, and even mainframe systems through one simple graphical interface. You don't need to have a large variety of tools. Once we confirm our monitoring settings, we'll have all of that updated. See, we've been informed that it's been successful. And then we can go over to the management console. Here's the QPasa management console. To set up events, we need to go under the Events tab. Now, each QPasa event is made of two things: a thing that we're looking for and a thing that we want to do in response to that. The thing that we're looking for is called a trigger, and the thing we want to do in response is called an action. Now, first we're going to create the trigger. Triggers and actions are created separately because they're reusable, and we can reuse them in multiple different templates, events throughout the QPasa system. So you can create a new template, we'll give it a name, and every trigger requires an input, and that input's called a topic node. Now, we grab the topic node tool from the toolbar and drop it into the trigger, and you'll notice that we just have a box. There's no output terminal here. And that's because we need to link the topic node to a particular middleware object type. We do that here under Topic Configuration. Here's all the different topic types that QPasa supports. We can extend this through several custom agents or even writing your own agents. Once we find the object we want, we have a sender channel. I want to know if that sender channel is down, so I'll select the sender channel type. And you'll notice here's a whole list of all the different attributes on which I could create events. Now, I really only need one to make this work, and that one is called the channel status. So I select that one, click OK, and you'll notice now that we have a little yellow bump here. This is going to be our output terminal. Now, the channel status is a number, and that number will be 3 when the channel's running, and it will be some other value when the channel's not running. So since we want to know when the channel's not running, we'll need a 3 to compare the channel status to. So we can make that by grabbing a numeric node, dropping it into the trigger, and then we can set a value of 3. Next, we'll need a comparison. Now we can grab since we need a not equal to 3 comparison, we grab a not equal to node, and you'll notice there's 2 inputs at the top and an output at the bottom. Comparison nodes are read left to right. So when we wire this up, and it's really just clicking and dragging, nothing complicated here, we'll have channel status is not equal to, and in this case, 3. You can see the 3 at the end of that tooltip. Finally, we'll need a finish node. That finish node serves as an output for the trigger. Now, when the input terminal at the finish node, this one right here, is going to be true, the trigger is said to be valid. And a valid trigger will then have QPasa pass control over to an associated action. Now, QPasa actually provides a lot of actions right out of the box. You can see several of them here. One of them, for example, is this one's the simplest one that QPasa can perform, called a console alert. Now, the console alert is going to just put a simple text message right here in the alert pane of the management console. It's one of the simplest forms of eventing that QPasa can perform. Now, in addition to console alerts, you can also have execute programs, you can write to a file, you can queue messages, send email, invoke the TeX or Tivoli consoles, or HP Open View. Now, the actions, like the triggers, are read top to bottom, and instead of a topic node, they start with a start node, this little green flag right here. Then they progress through one or more action nodes. We have just one action node here, but we could have several. And you'll notice there's 2 outputs of the action node. This one's for success, and this one's for failure. Since console alerts basically never fail, we're just going to wire those both to finish nodes. Once we have that set up, we can set up a template. Creating a template's pretty easy. Once we have our name, we can select a trigger, and then we can select an action. Some actions allow you to configure them at the template level. So this one, I need to put in a message. And then once I'm finished entering that, I can commit my changes, and then I can do an association. Once this template is finished, it's ready to do monitoring, but we need to associate it to actual objects within the environment. Now, to do that, we need to go to the templates pane down here, and we scroll through the list of different object types. We find the one we created. We made a sender channel trigger, and we use that for a template, so our template is under sender channel. So, and then we can just select the objects in our environment that we want to monitor, in this case just sender channels, and it's really just a drag and drop operation down from the Explorer pane to the template. And then once we have that done, I can click commit, and then you'll see that I already have some channels down here. I actually stopped those earlier. So log into here, and I'm going to start my channel. And then hopefully within up to about 10 or 30 seconds, depending on how you have your agent configured, we'll actually have monitoring set up, and we'll actually see these messages disappear. Well, you see, that's it, really. There's not much more to setting up one of these events. Now, if you want to learn more, you can take one of our classes called MQS 1150. You can find that on the MQSoftware website, and you can learn a lot more about QPasa and how to create events and other kinds of actions that you can create.